Come with me on a journey, back to Mesopotamia, the land between the Tigris and Euphrates. These rivers, flowing from Turkey through Iraq to the Persian Gulf, carved a green ribbon through a harsh, sun-drenched plain. Here, humanity took a bold step, settling down, building cities, and shaping the world. The people who settled this land were pioneers, moving from wandering to rooted communities. This shift changed human destiny forever. Mesopotamia is more than a place. It's the birthplace of the idea that people could work together to control their environment. They built canals, planted seeds, and created something lasting. Before this, life was at nature's mercy. Here, humans began to take control. They built a world of their own design, brick by brick. Our journey takes us to the very beginning of society. It's a story written in clay tablets and buried in ancient ruins. Kings, scribes, farmers, and priests all played their part. To understand who we are, we must look back to where we began. So let's travel across millennia to the land between the rivers. Here, the foundations of our world were laid in the dusty soil of ancient Mesopotamia. This is the story of us, the story of civilization's first steps, the story of how we became who we are. Let's begin. The secret to Mesopotamia's success was water, specifically the annual flooding of the Tigris and Euphrates. Each spring, snowmelt from distant mountains caused the rivers to overflow, leaving behind rich, fertile silt. What looked like disaster was actually a gift. The land was renewed, year after year. This silt made the soil incredibly productive, allowing farmers to plant in the same fields season after season. But harnessing the flood required teamwork. People built canals, dikes, and levees to channel water and protect their homes. Managing the water was a massive communal effort, forging strong communities. The rivers shaped not just the land, but the Mesopotamian worldview. The gods, like the rivers, could be generous or destructive. Pleasing the gods meant ensuring good floods and bountiful harvests. Their myths are filled with stories of great floods and divine power. This deep connection to the rivers and the divine was at the heart of their culture. The struggle to control water defined their society. It brought people together, forced innovation, and laid the groundwork for civilization. The rivers were both a challenge and a blessing. They were the reason Mesopotamia flourished. Without the flood, there would be no civilization here. The rivers were life itself. Fertile soil turned Mesopotamians into expert farmers, the foundation of their civilization. The agricultural revolution here meant a stable, abundant food supply. Crops like barley, wheat, sesame, and dates thrived, with barley especially vital for bread and beer. Surplus food changed everything. Not everyone had to farm. People became potters, weavers, builders, and priests. This division of labor sparked new skills and technologies. Society grew more diverse and organized. Ingenious irrigation systems, canals stretching for miles, brought water to distant fields. This allowed multiple harvests a year and farming beyond the riverbanks. Maintaining these canals required constant communal effort. The success of farming led to a population boom. Villages grew, houses and granaries were built from mud bricks. Life became settled and predictable. The seeds of civilization were sprouting. Farming was the engine of transformation. The world would never be the same. From these fields, society blossomed. The roots of civilization run deep in Mesopotamian soil. The leap from village to city is one of history's greatest transformations. In Mesopotamia, this happened rapidly as farming techniques improved and populations soared. Small clusters of mud brick houses became sprawling settlements, towns with thousands of people. At the heart of each town stood a grand temple, the center of worship, economy, and administration. Priests managed surplus grain and organized labor for public works. Towns attracted craftsmen, traders, and priests, creating a vibrant mix of people. Streets connected neighborhoods, and defensive walls protected against raids. Building these walls required coordinated labor and strong leadership. Urbanization was about more than size. It was about organization. Leaders emerged, rules were established, and a social hierarchy formed. Priests and administrators led, craftsmen and merchants thrived, and farmers formed the base. These towns were the crucibles of civilization. They paved the way for the world's first true cities. The experiment of living together was scaling up. Some Mesopotamian towns grew into powerful city-states, walled cities with their own governments, armies, and patron gods. Uruk and Lagash were among the earliest and most influential. Uruk, often called the world's first city, boasted a population of up to 50,000. Massive walls, grand temples, and bustling markets defined these cities. Writing was invented in Uruk to keep track of temple goods. Became a major trade center, its wealth revealed in the royal tombs, filled with gold and imported treasures. These city-states competed fiercely over land, water, and trade. Rivalry spurred military innovation and diplomacy. Sumer's political landscape was a patchwork of competing city-states. Each was a laboratory for new forms of government and social organization. They faced the challenges of urban life, law, and governance. The city-state was a new experiment in human society. Here, the blueprint for civilization was drawn. Let's step into during its golden age. The great ziggurat towers above the city, a symbol of power and devotion. Around it, a maze of narrow streets and two-story mud brick houses buzzes with life. Homes had central courtyards for shade and ventilation. Daily life was vibrant. Merchants, craftsmen, and children filled the streets. The aroma of baking bread and the sounds of workshops filled the air. Potters, weavers, and traders kept the city thriving. Was self-sufficient but deeply connected to distant lands through trade. Society was clearly structured: elites in grand tombs, ordinary people in modest homes. Personal seals and clay tablets reveal a literate, organized society. Scribes recorded contracts, business, and schoolwork. These discoveries bring ancient to life. Urban life here was complex, dynamic, and highly organized. One of the world's first true cities, set the standard for urban civilization. For most, life in Mesopotamia was tied to the land and the seasons. Farmers rose before dawn, tending fields and managing irrigation canals. Harvests were communal efforts, vital for survival. The rivers were highways. Boats carried goods and people between cities. Reeds from the rivers built homes and tools. Trade was essential. Mesopotamia lacked stone, metal, and wood, so merchants traded grain and textiles for copper, cedar, and precious stones. This trade connected Mesopotamia to a vast world. Inside the city, craftsmen worked in family workshops. Scribes, among the few literate, recorded transactions and stories on clay tablets. Writing made knowledge permanent, revolutionizing society. The act of recording information laid the groundwork for science and history. Daily life was shaped by work, trade, and the ever-present rivers. The ordinary people of Mesopotamia built the foundations of civilization. Trade in Mesopotamia was more than economics. It was the engine of cultural exchange. Merchants brought back not just goods but new ideas and technologies. The docks of and Uruk bustled with boats and people from distant lands. This cosmopolitan mix fostered rapid innovation. Techniques and inventions spread quickly across the region. Trade influenced art, architecture, and religion. The need to manage complex trade and agriculture led to advanced mathematics. Our 60-minute hour and 360-degree circle come from here. Careful observation of the sky for calendars led to the birth of astronomy. Priests recorded the stars, predicted eclipses, and created the zodiac. Mesopotamian science and math shaped the world. Knowledge traveled along trade routes, influencing distant cultures. The legacy of Mesopotamian innovation is still with us. Their ideas became the building blocks of civilization. The great cities of Mesopotamia eventually fell, buried by time and conquest. Yet their legacy endures, woven into the fabric of our world. The idea of cities, laws, and organized government began here. Writing, first invented in Uruk, changed humanity forever. Every book, every message, traces back to those first clay tablets. Their discoveries in science and math still shape our lives. The story of the Great Flood, first told in Gilgamesh, echoes in cultures worldwide. Mesopotamia is not just ancient history, it's part of who we are. The people between the rivers were pioneers, laying the foundations for all that followed. Their achievements built the world we know. We are, in a real sense, the children of Mesopotamia. Their story is our story. Long ago, in the fertile land between the Tigris and Euphrates, people discovered a new way to live. This region, known as Mesopotamia, was blessed with rich soil and abundant water, making it an ideal place for life to flourish. Here the earliest humans began to notice the patterns of the seasons and the cycles of the rivers, which would soon transform their entire existence. Instead of wandering as nomads, always searching for food and shelter, they learned to plant seeds and grow crops, settling in one place. This shift from hunting and gathering to farming was revolutionary, allowing families to put down roots and build lasting homes. This was the birth of agriculture, and it changed everything. With simple tools and careful planning, people could now produce food more reliably than ever before. Fields of wheat and barley began to cover the land, and the harvests grew larger each year. Permanent villages appeared, families raised crops and animals, and for the first time, there was more food than needed for survival. This surplus meant that not everyone had to farm. Some could focus on other skills and crafts. This surplus allowed some people to become potters, weavers, or builders, specialists in new trades. Artisans crafted pottery for storage, wove cloth for clothing, and built sturdy homes from mud bricks. These new roles brought variety and creativity to daily life. Villages grew into towns, then into the world's first cities like Ur and Uruk. These cities were unlike anything the world had seen before. Bustling centers filled with people, ideas, and activity. These cities became centers of trade, religion, and innovation, with grand temples and bustling marketplaces. Merchants traded goods from distant lands, priests led ceremonies in towering ziggurats, and inventors created new tools and techniques. Life in the city was complex, with people from many backgrounds living and working together. The streets were alive with the sounds of craftsmen, traders, and children playing, all contributing to a vibrant urban culture. The old ways of organizing small groups no longer worked for these large, diverse communities. New challenges arose as thousands of people needed to share resources, resolve disputes, and make decisions together. People needed new ways to cooperate and solve problems. They formed councils, created rules, and learned to work together on massive projects like irrigation canals and city walls. How would thousands live together peacefully? Who would make decisions? Leaders and elders emerged to guide the community, settling disputes and organizing collective efforts. The rise of cities demanded a new framework for society. Laws were written, traditions established, and systems of governance put in place to keep order and ensure fairness. This was the beginning of organized civilization. Written language, legal codes, and shared beliefs helped people live and thrive together in ways never before possible. Mesopotamia became the birthplace of urban life, setting the stage for the rise of great civilizations to come. The innovations and ideas born here would echo through history, shaping the world for thousands of years. Imagine the chaos of a crowded Mesopotamian marketplace, merchants haggling, farmers arguing, strangers everywhere. The air is thick with noise and tension, as people from all walks of life try to make deals and protect their interests. In this bustling environment, misunderstandings and disputes are inevitable, and without some way to resolve them, things could quickly spiral out of control. In small villages where everyone knew each other, social pressure and personal reputation kept order. If you wronged your neighbor, word would spread, and you'd face consequences from the community. But as populations grew and cities emerged, that wasn't enough anymore. The close-knit bonds of village life began to dissolve in the anonymity of the city. The anonymity of urban life required something new, formal rules that everyone could follow regardless of personal relationships. In a city, you might never see the same person twice, so trust and reputation alone couldn't keep the peace. Mesopotamians responded by developing written laws, clear guidelines to set prices, define property, and punish crimes. These laws were inscribed on clay tablets for all to see, making expectations and consequences public knowledge. These rules made society predictable and safe, allowing business and daily life to flourish. People could trade, work, and interact with confidence, knowing there were agreed-upon standards to protect them. Laws also organized massive public projects like irrigation canals and city walls, which required cooperation on a scale never seen before. Without rules, these ambitious undertakings would have been impossible to coordinate. By requiring everyone to contribute, laws ensured that the benefits of these projects, like water for crops and protection from invaders, were shared by all. This sense of shared responsibility helped bind the community together. The creation of laws marked a turning point in human history. Order was now based on shared principles, not just personal relationships or the whims of the powerful. Laws provided a framework for fairness and accountability. This was the birth of the idea that society should be governed by law. Laws protected the weak, managed resources, and kept the peace. They offered a way to resolve conflicts without violence, and to ensure that justice was not just for the privileged few. With laws in place, it became possible for thousands of people to live and work together in relative harmony. Cities could grow, economies could expand, and new ideas could flourish. The city forced people to think about justice and fairness in new ways. Questions about right and wrong, about equality and responsibility, became central to daily life. Mesopotamia's invention of law became the foundation for all future governments. The idea that rules could be written, debated, and improved upon was revolutionary, shaping the way societies would be organized for millennia. The need for order gave rise to the concept of justice. Laws became a tool, not just for control, but for creating a fairer society. One where everyone, at least in theory, had rights and responsibilities. In the end, law became the glue that held civilization together, transforming chaos into community and laying the groundwork for the world we know today. As cities grew, someone had to enforce the rules and lead the people. At first, priests held power, acting as intermediaries between the people and the gods, but as cities competed for land and resources, kings emerged, military leaders with divine authority. Each city-state believed its king ruled by the will of its patron god. Disobeying the king was seen as defying the gods themselves. Kings built temples, led armies, judged disputes, and managed the economy. Their power was immense, but so was their responsibility. The city's fate was tied to their leadership. Success meant divine favor. Disaster threatened their rule. The king's divine mandate shaped Mesopotamian society for centuries. As ancient cities grew larger and more complex, relying on oral tradition to govern society became increasingly impractical. People needed a way to ensure that rules were not forgotten, misinterpreted, or changed at the whim of those in power. Laws had to be permanent, visible, and accessible to all citizens, not just the elite or those close to the rulers. The most famous and enduring example of this shift is the Code of Hammurabi, a monumental set of laws literally carved in stone for everyone to see and understand. Hammurabi's code unified his vast empire with 282 detailed laws, covering everything from trade and contracts to marriage, family disputes, theft, and violent crime. It was a comprehensive legal framework that touched every aspect of daily life. For the first time, the laws were clear and accessible. Justice was no longer arbitrary, but fixed, knowable, and written for all to reference. This transparency helped build trust in the system. The principle of an eye for an eye became a guiding concept, aiming to ensure that punishments fit the crimes. However, the code also recognized the complexities of society, and punishments often varied, depending on the social status of those involved. Nobles, commoners, and slaves were all subject to the law, but they were treated differently, reflecting the rigid social hierarchy of ancient Mesopotamia. While the code may seem harsh or unfair by today's standards, it was a revolutionary step forward for its time, providing a foundation for justice and order. Perhaps most importantly, the code established the radical idea that even the king himself was bound by the written law, not above it. This was a powerful message about the rule of law. Hammurabi's code set a standard that would influence countless civilizations to come, inspiring legal systems across the ancient world and beyond. The introduction of written laws brought a new sense of order, predictability, and accountability to society, helping cities thrive and grow. Justice became a public matter, open to scrutiny and debate, rather than just the unpredictable whim of a ruler. The legacy of these ancient laws still echoes in our world today. None of this was possible without writing, Mesopotamia's most profound invention. Writing began with simple clay tokens to count goods, then evolved into pictographs on clay tablets. Scribes used a reed stylus to press wedge-shaped marks into clay, creating cuneiform. Over time, these marks represented not just objects, but sounds and words. Cuneiform became the world's first true writing system. Now, anything could be recorded. Contracts, hymns, laws, and stories. Writing allowed knowledge to be preserved and passed down accurately. It enabled complex administration and consistent law. Treaties, records, and stories could last for generations. The invention of writing transformed society. What began as counting sheep led to the birth of history. Cuneiform changed the world forever. With writing came a new elite, the scribes. Becoming a scribe required years of training in special schools. Scribes were among the few who could read and write, making them powerful and respected. They kept records for temples, palaces, and markets, managing everything from taxes to trade. Scribes drafted laws, recorded court cases, and wrote royal decrees. Without scribes, the machinery of government and economy would have stalled. They also preserved culture, copying myths, poems, and proverbs. Scribes recorded astronomical data, medical texts, and king lists. Their work turned oral traditions into written history. The scribe's stylus was the tool that built civilization. Through their hands, knowledge became permanent. Scribes were the memory keepers of Mesopotamia. Their legacy endures in every written word today. Cuneiform's greatest power was in administration. Scribes tracked harvests, rations, and taxes, preventing famine and supporting the state. In trade, clay tablet contracts made business reliable and enforceable. Kings used cuneiform for diplomacy, sending letters, forging alliances, and making treaties. Legal cases were recorded, creating a body of precedent and fairness. Writing made government, commerce, and law possible on a large scale. Even the king was bound by what was written. Cuneiform was the backbone of Mesopotamian civilization. Before writing, the past was kept alive only through stories and memory. Fragile and ever-changing, cuneiform changed that, allowing Mesopotamians to record their own history. Scribes created king lists and chronicles, mixing myth and fact but striving for order. Kings commissioned inscriptions to celebrate victories and achievements. These records were the first written histories, part propaganda, part documentation. Writing marked the divide between prehistory and history. Now, we can read their words and understand their world. Mesopotamians gave the past a permanent voice. They didn't just make history, they wrote it. The story of civilization began in clay. The innovations of Mesopotamia shaped the world. The city, the rule of law, and writing all began here. Hammurabi's code inspired future legal systems, from the Hebrews to the Romans. Cuneiform made administration, trade, and history possible. Writing changed humanity's relationship with knowledge and time. Every book and law today traces back to these clay tablets. Mesopotamians pioneered the questions and tools of civilization. Their legacy is the shared inheritance of us all. Imagine a world born between two rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. This land was called Mesopotamia. Here, the first great cities rose, people learned to write, created laws, and built empires that shaped history. But what truly drove them? The answer lies in their relationship with the cosmos, their religion. For Mesopotamians, the universe was alive, filled with powerful, unseen gods. Every event, from floods to droughts, births to battles, was seen as the will of the gods. Religion was not a separate part of life. It was the very air they breathed. Their laws were gifts from the gods, and their kings were seen as chosen representatives. Cities were sacred spaces built to honor patron deities. There was no line between the sacred and the everyday. Faith and life were one. This connection shaped every aspect of their society. To understand Mesopotamia, we must understand this unity of faith and daily life. Our journey will take us through ancient cities like Ur and Babylon. We'll gaze up at towering temples and try to understand the hopes and fears of a people governed by gods. We'll explore their beliefs, rituals, and the magnificent structures they built. We'll ask, who were these gods? What did they want? And how did this ancient faith create one of the world's first great civilizations? Join us as we uncover the spiritual heart of Mesopotamia. The story of their faith is the story of humanity's search for meaning. The Mesopotamians believed in many gods, a crowded universe of deities, each with their own personality and domain. This is polytheism, gods for the sky, earth, underworld, and even for specific fields or families. Their pantheon mirrored human society, complex, full of relationships and rivalries. The gods were imagined in human terms. They loved, fought, and made mistakes. Myths told of their adventures and conflicts, helping people explain the world around them. At the top stood Anu, god of the heavens, a distant patriarch. Enlil, god of wind and storms, was powerful and unpredictable, bringing both blessings and destruction. Inanna, or Ishtar, was goddess of love, war, and political power, a figure of passion and ambition. These gods embodied the forces of creation and destruction, love and conflict. Their stories were more than entertainment, they were guides for understanding life's mysteries. The pantheon's complexity reflected the unpredictability of life itself. Each city had its own patron deity, making faith a deeply local affair. The gods' influence was everywhere, shaping every corner of existence. To the Mesopotamians, the divine was always present, always watching. Their faith was a living, breathing part of daily life. The gods' stories still echo in the myths and religions that followed. Each Mesopotamian god had a specific role overseeing a part of nature or human life. Farmers prayed to Nisaba for grain, scribes honored her for writing. Enki, god of water and wisdom, was a friend to humanity, vital in a land of rivers. Shamash, the sun god, brought light and justice, seeing all from his chariot in the sky. The gods were patrons of cities, givers of laws, and deciders of fate. Babylon's people worshipped Marduk, believing their city's fortune depended on his favor. If the city thrived, the god was pleased. If it suffered, the people sought to appease him. The gods met in divine assembly to decree destinies, comforting, yet anxiety-inducing. Their decisions could be unpredictable, so rituals and offerings were constant. People tried to win the gods' favor for good harvests, health, and protection. The gods' roles made the world feel ordered, even when life was uncertain. Faith was a way to influence fate and find meaning in chaos. The divine order shaped every hope and fear of Mesopotamian life. In every major Mesopotamian city, one structure towered above all, the ziggurat. These massive stepped pyramids were not tombs or public temples, but sacred mountains linking earth and sky. Built from millions of mud bricks, ziggurats were feats of engineering and devotion. Their receding terraces and steep staircases symbolized the ascent to the divine. Only priests could climb to the summit, where a small shrine awaited the god. The ziggurat's height made it visible for miles, a constant reminder of the city's faith. In flat Mesopotamia, these artificial mountains became the gods' earthly homes. The summit shrine was furnished for the god's comfort, as if hosting a royal guest. Priests believed the god would descend to rest, receive offerings, and communicate with them. The ziggurat was more than a building, it was the city's spiritual axis. It anchored the people to their gods, blending architecture, faith, and community. These monuments still inspire awe, centuries after their stones have crumbled. Building a ziggurat was a colossal task, involving the entire community for years. Kings initiated these projects, seeing temple building as their highest duty. Mud bricks, millions of them, formed the core, with kiln-fired bricks protecting the outer layers. Sometimes, glazed bricks added color and symbolism. The ziggurat was the centerpiece of a larger temple complex, surrounded by storerooms, workshops, and priestly quarters. These complexes were economic hubs, controlling land and resources. Religion and daily life were intertwined. Temple building was both worship and investment in the city's future. A grand temple meant a pleased god, and a pleased god meant prosperity and protection. The scale of these projects reveals the central role of faith in Mesopotamian society. The ziggurat stood as the ultimate symbol of hope and devotion. In a world ruled by gods, priests and priestesses were the vital link between humanity and the divine. Trained in rituals, hymns, and sacred knowledge, they ensured the gods' favor and the city's well-being. The priesthood was hierarchical, led by a high priest or priestess, often from the royal family. Priests performed daily rituals, interpreted omens, and managed temple wealth. Their advice was sought by everyone from farmers to kings. Temples were economic powerhouses, owning land and employing many. The high priest's influence sometimes rivaled the king's, shaping politics and society. The balance between palace and temple defined Mesopotamian power. Priests were the gatekeepers of the sacred, guiding the city's fate. The daily life of a priest was a cycle of ritual and responsibility. They cared for the god's statue, believing it housed the deity's spirit. Each morning, priests performed ceremonies, washing, dressing, and offering food to the god. Offerings were shared among temple staff, supporting the religious community. Priests were masters of divination, interpreting signs from the stars, oil, or animal organs. They acted as counselors and healers, diagnosing illness as the work of angry gods or demons. Special priests, like the Ashipu, performed rituals to drive out evil and restore health. Priests provided spiritual, psychological, and medical support to the people. Their role was essential in helping society navigate life's uncertainties. Mesopotamian life was filled with festivals and rituals that brought the community together. These sacred events marked agricultural cycles and mythological milestones. During festivals, people feasted, sang, and watched grand processions. The New Year festival, Akitu, was especially important, celebrating renewal and the victory of Marduk over chaos. The king played a humble role, reaffirming his duty to the god and the people. The highlight was the public procession of the god's statue, making the divine presence tangible. Crowds cheered, prayed, and made offerings, strengthening their bond with the gods. Beyond festivals, daily rituals continued in homes, prayers, amulets, and small offerings for protection. Personal gods were honored alongside the great deities of the temples. Faith was woven into every moment, from grand ceremonies to simple daily acts. Religion was a constant conversation with the divine. These traditions united the people and gave meaning to their lives. The rhythm of ritual shaped the heart of Mesopotamian society. Mesopotamia's cities may have crumbled, but its faith echoes through history. Myths like the Epic of Gilgamesh inspired later stories, including the biblical flood. Their priesthood study of the heavens laid the groundwork for astronomy and the zodiac. The 7-day week traces back to their celestial observations. Most importantly, Mesopotamians pioneered the idea of a divine order shaping the universe. Their search for meaning, justice, and connection to the cosmos influenced civilizations that followed. In seeking the gods, they helped humanity understand itself. The legacy of Mesopotamian faith endures in our quest for meaning today. Imagine a land cradled by two mighty rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates. The Greeks called it Mesopotamia, meaning land between the rivers. This fertile crescent became the birthplace of civilization. Here, ancient people stopped wandering and began to build permanent settlements. The rivers flooded each year, leaving behind rich soil perfect for crops like wheat and barley. People learned to control the water, digging canals and irrigation ditches. This innovation led to food surpluses, freeing some to become builders, artists, and priests. Cities began to rise, places like Uruk and Ur. Mesopotamia, now mostly in modern Iraq, was a crossroads of cultures and ideas. With few natural barriers, it became a melting pot where people met, traded, and sometimes clashed. Each new group built on the achievements of those before, accelerating change. Here, we find the first evidence of writing, laws, the wheel, astronomy, and the 60-second minute. These inventions became the building blocks of complex societies. They allowed humans to organize, build empires, and ask profound questions about their place in the universe. Mesopotamia is not just a chapter in history, it's the opening scene of our shared human story. The innovations born here shaped the world. The rivers gave life, but it was human ingenuity that transformed the land. This is where the story of cities and civilization itself truly begins. The legacy of Mesopotamia is all around us, in ways we rarely notice. It's the foundation of the world we know today. Welcome to the cradle of civilization. Our journey starts with the Sumerians, who settled in southern Mesopotamia around 4000 BCE. They mastered city building, creating independent city-states like Uruk and Eridu. At each city's heart stood a ziggurat, a temple reaching for the heavens. The Sumerians were innovators. They invented the wheel, the potter's wheel, and most importantly, writing. Their cuneiform script allowed them to record laws, stories, and science, knowledge that could be passed down through generations. Sumerian society was complex, with priests, rulers, scribes, and skilled workers. They developed mathematics based on 60, giving us the 60-minute hour. they charted the stars and created calendars to predict floods and seasons. But the city-states often fought over land and water, weakening themselves. After centuries of creativity, their dominance faded, but their ideas endured. The Sumerians wrote the first act of civilization. Their legacy would echo through every empire that followed. They lit a fire that would never go out. The dawn of Sumer was the dawn of history. The Sumerian city-states set the stage, but around 23 and 34 BCE, a new power emerged, Akkad, led by Sargon. Sargon, a brilliant military leader, united the quarreling cities under his rule, creating the world's first empire. He appointed governors, built a standing army, and standardized trade. The Akkadians adopted Sumerian culture, language, and gods, blending traditions. Akkadian art flourished, depicting kings as heroic, almost divine figures. Sargon's empire stretched from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean, but holding such a vast territory was difficult. After Sargon's death, his successors struggled with revolts and invasions. The empire collapsed after about 150 years, but its impact was lasting. The idea of empire, uniting diverse peoples under one rule, was born here. The Akkadians showed what was possible on a grand scale. Their fusion of cultures set a pattern for future empires. Though short-lived, the Akkadian Empire changed history. The concept of empire would shape the world for millennia. Mesopotamia's story was just beginning. After Akkad's fall, chaos returned, until Babylon rose from obscurity. On the Euphrates, Babylon thrived under Hammurabi, who united Mesopotamia around 1792 BCE. Hammurabi's greatest legacy was his code of laws, carved in stone for all to see. These laws covered daily life, from business to family, and introduced the idea of public written justice. The code wasn't equal for all, but it was a step toward a society governed by rules, not whims. Babylon became a center of culture, mathematics, and astronomy. Priests charted the stars and developed the zodiac. But like all empires, Babylon's power faded after Hammurabi's death. In 1595 BCE, the Hittites sacked Babylon, and the empire crumbled. Yet Hammurabi's vision of law and order would echo through history. Babylon's achievements became the foundation for future civilizations. The city's legacy outlasted its walls. The age of Babylon left an indelible mark on the world. From northern Mesopotamia, the Assyrians rose as masters of war. Their iron weapons and disciplined armies made them the superpower of their age. The Assyrians perfected siege warfare, using towers, battering rams, and psychological terror. Their empire stretched from the Persian Gulf to Egypt. To rule such vast lands, they built roads, appointed governors, and moved conquered peoples to break resistance. Assyrian kings built grand cities like Nineveh, filled with palaces and libraries. King Ashurbanipal's library preserved the knowledge of Sumer and Babylon. Ironically, this brutal empire became a guardian of ancient wisdom, but ruling by fear bred enemies. In 612 BCE, a coalition led by the Babylonians and Medes destroyed Nineveh. The Assyrian Empire vanished, but its legacy endured. Their innovations in warfare and administration shaped the ancient world. Even in destruction, the Assyrians changed history. Why did these mighty empires fall? Conquest breeds enemies, resentful subjects waiting for a chance to rebel. Invasions from outsiders struck when empires were weak from within. Environmental challenges like salinization from irrigation slowly ruined the land. Internal strife, economic troubles, and neglect of infrastructure all played a part. Empires are fragile systems, needing balance and consent to survive. Collapse was rarely sudden. It was a slow unraveling of power. Each fallen empire left a void, inviting new powers to rise. The cycle of rise and fall shaped Mesopotamia's history. In every ending there was a new beginning. Empires crumble, but ideas endure. Mesopotamian inventions, writing, law, science, spread far beyond their borders. Cuneiform inspired scripts from Anatolia to Persia, and even the Phoenician alphabet, ancestor of our own. Hammurabi's code influenced legal systems across the ancient world. Myths, like the Epic of Gilgamesh, echoed in later stories, including the biblical flood. Babylonian astronomy and mathematics became the foundation for Greek science. The division of the circle, the 60-minute hour, the zodiac, all trace back to Mesopotamia. these ideas became part of humanity's shared heritage. Every time we write, tell stories, or measure time, we echo ancient Mesopotamia. Their legacy is woven into the fabric of our world. Of all Mesopotamia's sciences, astronomy shone brightest. The sky was a divine message board, and priests recorded every celestial event. The Babylonians became master astronomers, predicting eclipses and charting the heavens. They mapped the stars, created the first constellations, and divided the sky into the zodiac. Astrology was born here, linking human fate to the cosmos. Their astronomical records were shared with the Greeks after Alexander's conquest. Babylonian data revolutionized Greek astronomy and mathematics. The base 60 system for time and angles comes from their calculations. Every clock and compass carries a trace of Babylonian genius. Their study of the stars changed how we see the universe. Mesopotamian astronomy connected earth to sky, and past to present. When we look back, our journey leads to Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization. Here, humanity took its first steps toward the modern world. The first cities, writing, laws, and empires all began here. Each new power built on the achievements of the last, creating a legacy of innovation. Mesopotamia was a laboratory for civilization, shaping the world for thousands of years. The challenges they faced, resource management, justice, coexistence, are still with us. Their solutions are embedded in our daily lives, from clocks to alphabets. Remembering Mesopotamia is an act of self-discovery. Their story is our story. The cradle of civilization still rocks us today. We are the children of Mesopotamia. Their journey is our foundation, and their legacy points us toward the future.